think we are live. All right, what's up, everybody? In today's video, okay, I have a little list here. Some things might be a repeat of what I mentioned in my live stream with Satya yesterday. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Love you so much. And then some other things I just want to talk about, some things I want to bitch about. I have some interesting sort of history stuff, kind of. I have a little bit of like Hyperborean history if we get to that. I also have some like really frustrating news. Um, yeah, so let's just get into it. Da, 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 da. Let's see here. I guess we'll just like knock off the election stuff right away. I don't know. I don't know. I agree with Mr. Ramsey Paul, who we love so much. The whole like demographics is destiny part of it, that we can't just complain about voting machines being rigged and Democrats rigging elections and everything like that. But I think I'm going to keep voting. I know yesterday I was feeling very black pilled, but then throughout the day I kind of like, it sort of hit me that I'm just going to keep voting. Fuck it. You know, I'm very detached from it. I don't think anything's really going to come from it, but I'm just going to keep voting because, like, you know, who cares? Probably will vote for Trump in 2024 if he ends up running. But yeah, I think I'm just gonna keep on voting. Again, not attached to it, not putting any weight on it, nothing heavy. It's just, you know, just sort of whatever. I think a lot of that stuff is, I mean, it's a dead end, you know, for us cool people. We all know that that is a dead end. There isn't really a political solution here. We are strangers and minorities in our own country. And until we have our own homeland where we have self determination, the whole voting thing, I just am not gonna. I don't know. Like, there's all this like hype around voting, and like, especially on the right, they really sort of like, yeah, they really hype it up, and then the result isn't there because of, again, demographics and other reasons, and then it gets all like depressed, and I don't know. Yeah, I'm just very detached from it. Gonna keep voting though. Tony pedophile Evers is still governor in this state, which is gross. But I believe Ron Johnson won. I think he beat Mandela Barnes. But I remember when I went and voted and was talking to one of the poll workers there, I think the governor's race and the Senate races in Wisconsin are all being audited in December. So who knows what'll end up happening. Again, I'm not really too worried about it because after the 2020 election and then January 6th and then this election, each time it's just like a nail in the coffin for me and just sort of accepting a new path, you know? And I don't know, we're more of a frontier people anyway. You know, you guys know I love the gypsy lifestyle. I think our home should be more of the horizon. I really detest the whole idea that like space is like our next homeland. What the fuck? Talk about like Hollywood Jewish conspiracy theories. I have no interest in going to space, and that whole discussion is just like so freaking boring to me. I can't even. I'm more interested in going like back to like the Arctic or like Hyperborea or something, you know, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. But yeah, so the voting thing I'm a little detached from. Was feeling very black pilled yesterday morning, but I think I'm better now. I'm in a better place. I will say too, one thing that's kind of interesting, because this is the only time that I've noticed this so far. You all know that I keep mentioning and keep bitching about how the technology part of all of this mess is a total blind spot for the conservative right. I talk about this all the time, that there's this like bizarre ignorance to technology's effect, specifically smartphones and like smart devices and all that. It's literally desecrated and disconnected everything that we hold dear to ourselves. Yet it's never talked about with all the traditionalists on the right. It's never ever really mentioned. Um, but when it came to the election this past week, it's like the only time that I hear people talking about like, well, maybe we should get rid of the machines, you know, just go back to like paper voting and sort of devolve and separate from a little bit. Now they use the word machine, and the language here is very important because they'll use it's a voting machine. You know, it's not, they don't say technology, it's a voting machine. And I don't know, I just find that kind of interesting. I'm not necessarily hopeful, but that was the first time that I've ever seen, you know, people generally be like, maybe we should move away, take a step back from the technology part in this. I mean, granted, they only ever use this machine once every 2 to 4 years in the first place, but I don't know, I found it kind of interesting because, yeah, there's this just total black hole blind spot about the technology stuff. And it's not just like in the political discussions, it's about like all type of different like pop cultural sociological stuff. Like they talk about like the gender, like the why aren't men like men anymore, and why aren't women like women anymore. And they'll sit there, and these are people I respect and that I love so much and I think are very, very intelligent. But it's at this point, it doesn't even like frustrate me. I just find it very bizarre. I find it very weird. I find it very peculiar that there's just this like black hole when it comes to like that everyone has this like phone that's been sitting in their pockets for the past 20 years or so, and then they'll label off and like they'd rather talk about like gay frogs and chemicals and chemtrails, and this is the right, okay, than the phone, and they'll talk about like why aren't men acting like men, and I don't know, it's very bizarre to me that like again people that I very much respect and I love and I think are very intelligent, and they never bring the phone, the smartphone, the technology into the discussion. It's never part of it, and again they'll think of all these other reasons, and they'll talk about different all these different reasons about like what's happened to men and what's happened to women. But I don't know about you, but when I think of like masculine, like normal men, technology and like watches and all the gadgetry, the gadgetry from the faggotry, it's never in like the image that I hold. It's always people that are very grounded in nature and agriculture, and they're very self-sufficient, and it has nothing to do with the technology stuff. And I think, and I agree with Amy Gross that just sort of like all like being like on social media, being online, it's a very demasculating thing. Again, you can't really get around it because of everything sort of funneled through it nowadays, but I find it very demasculating. And to anyone who like doesn't have a smartphone or a smart device, the first thing you'll notice when you try to go out into the world, if you go back to like a flip phone or just no phone in general, is the maps. Like the maps part of it is so, I don't know. I kind of want to move away from the discussion because I find that talking about the technology part, and I'm not even anti-tech, I just like want to know why it's like never brought up. And maybe it's not even a factor into any of it, I kind of doubt that, but maybe it's like a part of a multi-factor thing in regarding to like why men don't act like men and women don't act like women anymore. But yeah, I kind of think of it as like if you're like smoking a joint or something, or like you're drinking, and like the person next to you is like, oh, you really shouldn't smoke. Smoking's bad for you, or like you really shouldn't be drinking. You're destroying your liver. It's sort of like a buzzkill. It's like, why are you talking about that right now while we're like passing around a joint? That's the only thing I can kind of compare it to, because most people they just sort of look at you blankly, and they don't really want to talk about it. They just sort of literally, bend down and just scroll through their phone. And they do this for, 12, 16, 18, 24 hours a day, just endlessly scrolling through their phone. And they're like, I don't understand why men don't act like men. Oh, here's another thing. If you are not someone who can like have the balls to like show your face on camera, I don't really know why you're talking about like, or hypothesizing why men are like so cucked and so feminized. You know what I mean? It's not that big of a deal to show your face on camera. No one cares, I don't know. I'm going to move away from this conversation because it's a little bit boring, but I just wanted to talk about that in regards to the voting machines, because it was the first time that I ever really heard people be like, oh, maybe we should step back from the electronics a little bit. And again, I'm not even anti-electronic. I just think it's like weird, very, very bizarre that it's like never talked about, Anyways, where should we go here? Oh, here's a good one. If anyone's familiar with Nikita Dragon, she's this tranny, male to female, who was like a beauty YouTuber like back in the day. I don't really know, but I guess he got arrested in Miami. I'm not really sure why. Something with like drunken pool incident or something. I don't know. But what's crazy is the tranny got sent to a male prison and was like freaking out and being like, Your Honor, I need to be put into like a female prison. But it's like, no, you're a dude, so you go to a male prison. I don't know. I just thought it was funny in the pop culture sphere that, you get arrested and you're a tranny and you're still sent to, I don't know if it's every case, but I just thought that was kind of funny. I talked about this yesterday with Sacha, but just follow up on that viral There's that word again, contagion vocabulary. Viral video about the Halloween. Those teachers that were scaring the kids with the masks, and they were just like circling the table and like frightening them. How I guess they all got they got fired and they got felonies and stuff for child abuse, which is like crazy. And like I don't really know how I feel about it. I'm like, justice is served, and I think it was fucked up, and they definitely should have gotten in trouble. But a felony, that's like wild. But like, parents don't play nice when it comes to their cubs, and I totally respect that. But it's just so interesting to me that like you can force these kids to get like shots and wear masks and do all that, and they're screaming and they're crying and they don't want to do it, but nothing happens then. But like if you put on a mask and scare them that way, it's like a felony. I just don't think something's exactly balanced there. But yeah, I think that was kind of nuts that they all got fired and they all got slapped with felonies. Like that's pretty wild. Let's see here. Oh, this is going to be an ongoing list, but if any of you have like, these are all kind of like princessy names because I've been in like a royal black hole. But I was thinking about like my favorite girl names, favorite woman names. I love like the Russian Romanov names like Tatiana, Anastasia. I love the name Lorelei. I think that's German, but I love Lorelei. I love Priscilla. I love Drusilla. I love Aurora. Like, they kind of all have A's in them now that I think about it. I love the name Greg. But yeah, if you have any favorite female names, please link them below because I don't know, I find that kind of interesting because now everyone's, isn't Elon Musk's child named like XAEA12 or something? So fucking weird. So fucking weird. Oh, talking about princesses, Sacha, I hope if you're watching this, prepare to close your ears because they're redoing Snow White and they cast a Latina to play Snow White. Yeah, this is, continuing again in the anti-animation, more in the, I guess this is like a live action remake of Snow White. Snow White is a 1812 fairy tale by the Brothers Grimm. I believe they are German, and they are remaking it with Latinas, and not just Latina, but if I go over to IMDb and look at the cast list, yeah, it looks like there's Asians in here. It looks like there's blacks. The blacks, I guess, are the knights. They're the guards. I don't know exactly how that works. Yeah, more Asians, a couple white people, sort of like mixed, etc. But yeah, they are redoing Snow White for whatever God knows, for whatever fucking reason. And they have like, and she's like a light-skinned sort of like Columbia woman, I guess, but it's Snow White. Like, it's her white skin. I just find that so bizarre. Because they talk about like her skin is like white as snow. I don't know. I can't even imagine this in like Spanish, like Blanca, Blanca puta. Like, I don't even know. But I find this interesting. This is on MSNBC. Peter Dinklage, he's that like famous dwarf guy in the movies. He was in Game of Thrones, etc. But he, I guess, is angered by the new Snow White. I didn't really get this. He like went off about like the fact that she's Latina, but then the whole article kind of like skews into like their portrayal of like dwarves and like the disabled. It's like so fucking weird. But it says, this is Peter Dinklage again. He's like, literally, no offense to anyone, but I was a little taken back when they were very proud to cast a Latina actress as Snow White. But you're still telling the story of Snow White and the Seven Dwarves. Take a step back and look at what you're doing here. It makes no sense to me. In response, Disney said it would consult with the little person community to make sure the movie isn't offensive. Again, this is fucking Snow White. Like, how is it even offensive, you fucking retards? Like, oh my god. Oh my god. It's still, all these people still voted for Democrats on Tuesday. Oh my god, the mental retardation and the faggotry is out of control. But I guess, to avoid reinforcing stereotypes from the original animated film, whatever that means, what do you mean? Like, this is the thing. Like, okay, a Latina actress can play Snow White, but they have this rule in Hollywood that like only gays can play parts, and only Jays can play J parts, and blacks can play black parts. But then like when it comes to like white parts, it's just like anything goes. Um, I don't know. It's very weird. Again, they're going off about like as disability rights activists tweeted, a remake will likely lead to people making Snow White jokes to little people. It's like, what the fuck? No one even thinks about like the dwarves in that capacity. They're fucking dwarves. They're like minors, aren't they? Like most minors are like shorter statured people. That's why I remember the cabin that I had up north years back. It was like the ceiling, everything was very low because they were all miners that lived in that area and built it. They're just shorter statures, but it says, not only is there no reason for the remake to exist, it has the potential to anger just about anyone. People with disabilities will see it for what it is, a cheap cash grab by Disney. What? Which will likely make only cosmetic adjustments to allow the money to continue to flow, while conservatives will complain that Disney has become too woke, whatever the hell that means. That's literally in the article. The conservatives will complain that Disney has become too woke, whatever the... It's not that it's that it's explicitly anti-white. Like she's literally called Snow White, and you're putting in a fucking Latina actress. Like what the hell is going on? It started with Ariel. Again, you give these people an inch and they take a mile every single time. In addition, when people with disabilities push back on harmful portrayals, they are often only met with hostility. It's like what? I'm sorry. No offense if you're like a midget, but is this really something that I just like can't even. So yeah, once again, anti-white Disney is digging their heels in and remaking a classic Brother Grimm fairy tale with again Latinas, Asians, blacks, and again a German 1812. It's just can't wait till we have our own country. Let's continue, I think. Yeah. Here's just a meme. Bring me Kyrie. I thought that was funny. I showed this yesterday in this live stream, but I was going through all these like crowns. Well, it started with like I wanted to know where all the jewels that the Romanovs had went after the Bolshevik Revolution in 1917. Was that it? Like what happened to all like the jewels and the jewelry and the ice, and a lot of like tiaras and stuff are actually not that pretty. A lot of them are kind of like whatever, but these two and specifically I found very interesting. This one I thought was just like the construction was very beautiful, and then there's this pink diamond I guess in it, and I guess this pink diamond is literally like priceless. So I just thought that was beautiful. I would love to wear it. I'd love to wear it to Walmart or something. I don't know. This one I thought was pretty too. It's called the wheat sheaf diadem. I just thought it was pretty. It's like sort of natural with like the sort of like again like the wheat and not necessarily floral, but the sort of like natural, botanic. I don't know. I just thought it was pretty. So all about the diadems, all about the crowns. We love that so much. Where should we go to next? Oh, this is interesting. I am not a TEDx fan or a TED Talk fan at all. It's literally, it's like woke, corporate, bureaucratic, like, newsletter 101. They love the TED stuff. They love it so much. It really pushes their own, like, fucked up, distorted worldview. No offense to anyone who's ever been on a TED Talk or had one. I'm sure there are a couple that are, like, fine. But I only listened to this because I was, like, trying to research more about, like, Hyperborea, and I was looking more for, like, maps. And this guy talks about, he's, like, very anti-white. But he actually uses the word Aryan, which I thought was interesting. But he talks about something called the Hamadic hypothesis, which is an anthropological theory that claimed that humans originated in Asia and then migrated to other regions of the world. He thinks that the blacks built the pyramids too, by the way. So we're not going to like watch or listen to this, but this map I had never seen before, and I thought it was kind of interesting, especially in, let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger, the Asia sort of realm. First of all, the Caspian Sea isn't pictured here, which is, There's actually like a total, talk about black holes. There's a total, if you're like in the education system at all, no one ever teaches you about Central Asia. It's just like gone. I don't really know how to describe it, but there's just like no information there. There's people there, there's vibrant culture there, but it's never talked about in the education system in the West for whatever reason. But again, so according to this theory, they think that humans came out of Asia and then spread throughout the rest of the world. Again, I don't really. I think when he talks about humans, I think he means like white Aryan people. I kind of like the idea again, the Hyperborean idea, and we can look at some like other maps too. Um, let's see here. Da, 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 da. 10 fascinating maps of. Oh yeah, here we go. There's multiple like maps out there that show that like the Arctic wasn't one time like snow covered, and then this map doesn't show it, but there's a lot of maps that show the Arctic actually connecting to parts of Asia, North America, etc. So the whole like again, I'm very elementary at my understanding of all of this stuff, but the idea that like the white people came from Hyperborea, i.e., sort of like the North Pole area, and then migrated down, in this map's case, to Central Asia, and then to the rest of not to the rest of the world, but I don't know. It's kind of interesting. And then I start to think about again like Tartaria and that whole train of thought, because like the Russian Siberian landscape is a no-go zone, and I was trying to find different. How do I describe this? So I was trying to find like different areas in Russia that show signs of just like some catastrophic event or some shit, and I came across the Batagayaka crater, which was kind of interesting. And I know there's that whole like I think it's called the Tunguska. Something happened where like a whole bunch of trees, like the whole like environment shattered. A Tunguska event or something. Sorry, again, I told you my understanding of this is very elementary, but if they're saying is true, like this upper part of Russia, this up here would have all been connected to a landmass. And by the way, as many of you know, the Arctic, etc., is all off limits when it comes to Google Maps. It's just photoshopped over for whatever reason. As many other parts of the world map are photoshopped too, but the idea that we came from Hyperborea and then came down into, I guess, Siberia, Central Asia, and then moved around that way. I think it's kind of an interesting theory. Again, I do not believe in a Black Eve for our people. I think that's childish. That's the whole like Kanye West train of thought that we all come from Africa, this rich diversity in Africa, and all that. I find all of that very boring. But anyways, let's continue. Okay, I just thought this castle was pretty. This is called Sigmaringen Castle. It's the seat of government for the princes of the Hohenzollern-Sigmaringen branch, I guess, of the family. It's in Baden-Württemberg. The castle dominates the skyline of blah, blah, blah. I just thought it was a pretty castle. Like, what? It's like right kind of on the water. I thought it was just beautiful. Like, a lot of the Hohenzollern family castles are really fucking pretty, and I like this one a lot. And I just wanted to share that with you. I think it was a pretty castle. I don't know. What do you think? I love when they're like up on a cliff like that. I think it's fucking cool. Anyways, I think, yeah, like I said, I went into a black hole, and I'm pretty sure the rest of these are all, yeah, I just, yeah, I don't know, the royal stuff I just find so fascinating, and how they're like all related to each other and whatnot. I think it's cool too. You can be like a princess like 3 times over. Like you can be born a princess of like Denmark and Greece by your parents, and then marry into say like the British royal family and become like a princess that way too. I don't know, the whole like titles thing. I just find that all very, very interesting. This is a painting of Victoria's wedding. This is Victoria as in the daughter of Queen Victoria. I think she married a German guy, right? I don't know. Her husband looks very handsome. Very, very handsome. Anyways, let's go back to my little list here. Um, I think actually that might be everything that I had to talk about. Um, oh, just like I think I mentioned in my stream last week this really fucking annoying leftist astrologer. She turned off her comments on her video this week, and I just wanted to watch it because it was going to have like her election prediction stuff. And she started off with like this list of like why you should vote for the Democrats. Um, and like the first thing on the list was 100% of Republicans voted against cheaper gas. And I don't know like how fucking stupid you have to be to even like put something like that out there with your name on it. But the idea that like a Republic maybe I don't know. I just when on day one of his presidency, Joe Biden shuts down like oil pipelines. They desecrate our oil like reserves. They send all of our oil over and energy overseas, continually shutting down plants and coal mines and all of that stuff. And then you have like reasons to vote Democrats. It's that Republicans, and again, I'm not a fan of Republicans either. 96% of them are fucking retards. But that like you should vote Democrat because Republicans, 100% of them voted against cheaper gas prices. It's like, again, I said this yesterday in my stream with Sacha. Like, I don't even know if I want to understand these people anymore or where they're coming from. The way like our two realities are not the same, and I don't even like. I don't want anything to do with them. You know? I just like, where does something like that come from? The rest of the things on the list were just as fucking stupid. But I thought, like, specifically when it comes to gas, like, so you're saying, like, Democrats are voting for cheaper gas for the United States? It's just, I don't even know. So, yeah, I think we're going to leave it there for today. Oh, we had someone comment. Sarah Wallace. Hey, Sarah, love you so much. I always thought that if I had another daughter, I would name her Ren. That's a nice name. I like that name. It's kind of androgynous, no? I think I know a couple dudes that are named Ren. And I'm not against androgynous names. I actually kind of like that. In fact, my freaking male cat is named Josephina, for God's sakes. Josephina and Oscar. Oscar is sleeping right here. I don't know if the camera... Let me see if I can turn it. Look at him sleeping right there in the window. Oh, so cute. Anyways, I hope you all are well. I will be back soon with another video. I have some ideas of stuff I want to do. But yeah,